the whole reason that we are having this discussion today, we're gonna let Brendan go ahead and outline that for you, and it has a little something to do with the Ten Commandments statue in Oklahoma. By the way, I don't know if that guy was a militant atheist or not. We don't have enough information on it yet.
Well, so far it doesn't appear that's the case, but at any rate, yeah, you guys have made a lot of good points so far, and I agree with a lot of it. I do think that militant atheism is a thing. I think that it's hyperbolized a lot, though. I think it's a lot like, the term Islamophobia, where it's actually a thing, but it's often misapplied where it doesn't belong. To me, militant atheism is something, like Stalin or Mao or somebody that's suppressing religion. Again, to clarify, those things aren't caused by atheism. There's no tenets in atheism that demand that that's the case. They're merely correlated. Dictators, totalitarians like that suppress religion in order to make sure that the people focus on the state and the leaders and worship them and take them at their word and don't have any competing ideologies. But the Freedom From Religion, or the Freedom From Atheism Foundation, they like to throw that canard around frequently, all the time. They're constantly posting memes and things referencing that and trying to blame atheism and atheists for those kind of regimes and atrocities and things like that, and it's really dishonest. And it is unfortunate. My experience with them on their Facebook page earlier this year, when I first found out about them, I went to their page. I tried engaging them civilly and just rebutting some of their opinions and things, and they just pretty much weren't having it. They were just shouting over me, berating me. They eventually banned me, and I also noticed what they were doing too is with other people that were on there trying to debate with them. They were doing the same thing, but then they would also go to their personal profiles and find any public pictures of them and their family, including like their children, and then they would post those all over their page, and then make all these statements about them and how they're awful people and all this. So a lot of people have reported that page for like hate speech and stuff, and Facebook has allowed it to continue, which is really unfortunate because they're really extreme. But at any rate, it really depends on it's perception. You talk about people like Brian Fisher or Pat Robertson, and really what their aim is they try to paint their opponents, their ideological opponents, as the extremists. They're the normal ones. These people that are against us are the crazy extremists. So that's pretty much what it is. They're just trying to smear us with a label. Like I said, I do think that militant atheism is a thing, but it's not how they use it. They use it pretty much anybody who even speaks out at all against religion, who even will engage somebody in debate about religion or say that God doesn't exist or anything of that nature. They immediately try to label you as that, and it's just not right. But at any rate, yeah, about the Ten Commandments thing in Oklahoma there. So the latest information that I had was that basically it was like a mentally unstable guy, and he ran over the monument there at the state capitol in Oklahoma, and then later they caught him threatening to kill President Obama or something like that. The Secret Service was involved in all that, and then they said that he admitted that he was the one that ran into the monument. So as far as we know, he wasn't an atheist. He said the devil made him do it. So at any rate, he was clearly mentally disturbed. But even if he was an atheist, even if he was an atheist and he ran into that monument purposely because he didn't agree with it, then I would think that would be an example of militant atheism right there, because that's not the way to go about doing things. The ACLU actually has had a lawsuit against that monument for quite a while now. The most recent development in that, I believe, was the latest court ruling was that they said that it was constitutional. That was an Oklahoma court ruling. I don't know at what level, but basically the judge bought the really terrible argument that the Ten Commandments isn't religious and that it has to do with the law, which is absurd because several of the commandments specifically relate to the Christian God and demand worship of it. And over half the Ten Commandments aren't even illegal in the United States. So to say that it's just related to the law and it's not religious is ridiculous. And then the other part of it is that there was other groups that wanted to have monuments erected alongside of it there. And basically the Christian majority politicians put a moratorium on any further statues going up at that location while they kind of discuss the state of affairs there. And the one that got the most press was the Church of Satan that wanted to put up the statue of Baphomet, and they actually raised the funds for it, and I think they actually made the statue, and they're ready to put it up whenever there's the opportunity to do so. And I did a whole video on this, I think maybe back in like April or so, called the 10 Commandments for Satan, kind of laying out everything. But I also wanted to go over a couple examples of the Freedom from Religion Foundation and things where I think they kind of cross the line, and which kind of hurts us as atheists and kind of gives credence to this militant atheism claim. For example, there's a high school band in Ohio that the performance they're doing this year is based on a work called Salvation, and so all the band members are wearing T-shirts with the word salvation on them, and that's it, just the word salvation. And the Freedom from Religion Foundation filed a complaint saying that that's patently religious and that they're trying to spread a religious message, but I disagree, because while that word certainly has a religious connotation to it, I don't think they're trying to spread religion through it. That's just the name of the piece. To me, if they were doing like the score from Jesus Christ Superstar and they wore T-shirts that said that on the front of them, that's, to me, is no different. That's not them trying to promote Christianity. That's just happens to be the theme of their show for that year. So I don't have a problem with that, and I think trying to complain about that is going a little overboard. And another example was I saw in Florida, because they've allowed Christian groups to pass out materials at a local school there somewhere. I don't remember exactly where it was, but like then the Freedom from Religion Foundation wanted to pass out pamphlets that had like a cartoon character of the Bible, like with a face and everything, and then it was like behind a student like trying to like attack it or rape it or something. And they wanted to pass those out to the kids. So I thought that was a little overboard too, especially for a high school. Maybe at a college, a place where it's not a mandatory education. It's, if you're going to college, you choose to go there, and you're a little older, more mature, and then you don't have parents involved and all that. So I think they went a little overboard there as well. There's a way to do it, basically. So I think that's the main difference is, there's a way to go about doing things. People who want to ban religion is not the way to go. Like GE was talking about earlier, the way to do it is to educate people and to convince them that way. Not to forcibly, ban religion or tell them that they can't be religious. It's to get them to understand why they shouldn't be. That's the way to go about it. And I don't want to just completely rag on the Freedom from Religion Foundation either, because they do very good work. I'm definitely glad that we have outfits out there like that to advocate for our cause, and they do a lot of good work. I just think from time to time they kind of lose sight of things, or they get a little overzealous. So I just want to give one more example here real quick, and that was there was a high school in Georgia that had accepted a private donation of a Christian monument, and they put it up in the football stadium, and it had Christian verses all over it, and basically the football players would go and they would rub it and touch it before the game, and they said it brought them good luck and all this, and it was just blatantly Christian, unconstitutional. And so they made a complaint, and I guess they're resolving it. The school's resolving it by they're going to cover up the Christian verses on the monument. So they're going to keep the monument there. They're going to cover up the religious references, and I guess that's a pretty decent compromise. So that's just an example of the good work they do, and it's just like every time you hear about these cases, like on Fox News and stuff, they always just want to complain about it and say how atheists are just complaining and being out of bounds and militant and all that. But that's not the case. Most of the time when they do these things, they have a legitimate complaint. And the other thing is too is they always mention like, oh, the Freedom from Religion Foundation out of Wisconsin, and then usually they're going after these things that are happening like in the Bible Belt. They always try to like act like they have no business being there, but they represent anybody in the United States, and they pretty much, as far as I know, they don't get involved in cases or anything unless they have a complaint from a local person, because if it ends up going to litigation, if there ends up being a court case, they have to have somebody that has legal standing in order to pursue that complaint. So if they don't have somebody that's actually local to represent the case, then they can't proceed with the complaint. So they do a lot of good work, and that's why they get involved all over the country. And so I think, as long as they're staying, they're not crossing that line, I think they do a ton of good work, and I really appreciate what they do.